And this is a true matrix setup in that you can take any one of these gorgeous amp heads and through that patch bay run it into any combination
of cabinets
that you have in the live room, including ones that the manufacturers of these never had ideas for.
Right. A lot of those cabinets are, you know, modified to my taste and outfitted with different speaker combinations, stereo cabinets, and there's even a provision in here, you know, if you have two 8-ohm cabinets and you run them parallel, you will end up with 4-ohm. Your amps don't like that. That's a little low. So there's a provision in here to go out into one cabinet, come back, and go out into the next one, so they're in series, so you're back to 16-ohm.
And you can do that from here rather than out there.
Yes, right through patching through here.
Yeah.
And to me, a very important thing is that once the Sentinel, we call it, is being built, that I can combine different amp sounds together, you know. And with the whole Randall system, you get like preamps modeled after certain guitar amps, and you can mix and match them together, and you know, combine tones. I've been battling guitar hum and stuff like that for 13 years at the other place. We switched it on, we plugged in the guitar, he went like this, we turned it all the way up, and there's nothing. Nothing, and this is just like, finally, you know.
Even with these tube amps, these...
well, you hear the actual amp noise, but you don't hear the buzz of any dimmers or anything like that in the guitar. And that's always been a big problem. You know, especially if you really amplify, like a Telecaster or something like that with a single coil.
Right.
This is basically all the outboard gear, analog outboard gear. I still like to use a lot of that. I love digital, and I was an early proprietor for digital, like starting in 1981 when the first machines came out. I'm one of the few people that doesn't like tape. And I can say that. Digital, the one thing is that it's a little harder to deal with. You have to shape your sound before you even hit the recorder. With tape is much more forgiving than any digital recorder. So at this point, we're so good with the converters and all that you know, I have no holdback to record on digital. But I do still use a lot of analog outboard gear in order to get there. So this is what's all hooked up back here. In the original planning stage of the studio, we put pipes under the concrete, and they go over to the patch bay. And everything comes together back there. But all the gear is, like, you know, pretty much situated here, where I can be somewhat in front of the speakers and deal with the sound. It gets hooked up in different ways into the system. I'm working with Nendo, and Nendo has a great system for integrating outboard gear as external plugins, and it's very easy to do that. It automatically calculates the delay time, latency time, and lets you use external gear very easily. On the other hand, we have the SSL. The SSL being on one side analog, no problems there, patch anything in. It also functions as a remote control, so to speak, for Nendo. So the actual mixing happens on faders. To me, that is something I grew up with, and you know, it's something I just need. I can't mix with a mouse. Some things you set up, but the actual moving a bunch of faders at the same time is very important to me.
And with all this wonderful outboard gear, what is the ratio of plugins to outboard gear that you use in Nendo?
I would think it's 50-50. I would think if it comes to EQ, unless I want to do something special, I'm most likely going to use the internal stuff. There's real good plugins that they make. UAD makes a whole bunch of good plugins and even compressors and other stuff. So it's about 50-50. The outboard gear is selected in a way that it's special. Every piece does something specific. It's not like, okay, this is always going to be the EQ, or, you know, but if I want a certain sound, I got to go, okay, now I got to use the API, or I got to use the Great River, you know, or anything else. But it's specific gear. So, and to my taste, same with mic pre's, you know, and even with guitars. There's, I don't think any normal guitars back there. The client normally brings those in, you know. But if we need something specific, then there it is. And that's the same with outboard gear. I would think it's about 50-50, except for reverbs is 100% outboard. I don't use any reverbs in the box yet.
Okay, so what reverb do you use?
My favorite reverb now is the Bricasti. And you can see there's a hole underneath for the second one. And I still love the 6000 and the Quantec. Quantec has been made in 1983 and was already back then it was quad. And I think it still holds up. You know, we used it a lot in the 80s when there was a lot of reverb being used before it became a bad word. And the Quantec was one of the main units. A bunch of Lexicon gear and Eventide. There's a whole bunch of Kurzweil, a whole bunch of different units here. And to me, you know, they just hold up better than so far than the in-the-box stuff. In terms of reverb. I'll go along with compressors. I definitely go along with EQs and choruses and all that is wonderful. But reverbs, I'm still, you know, being a bull and using the outboard stuff.